How do, and welcome back to Pez RC and Hobby. It's still as crap a name as it was yesterday. Now it's 20 past 2 in the AM. I've been painting non-stop because finally, after 2 weeks of ordering from Gripping Beast, the delivery arrived with Jugula. It's a 2013, is it? Saying here 2014 it says in here, but I think it's 2013 when this game was announced. It's by Studio Tomahawk, who make Saga. Now I used to be Saga mad. It's made by the same people. Saga's got some quite abstract concepts which I liked. This game's got some abstract concepts. Before you all fall asleep, you might be wondering what it is. You might never have heard of it. It's a bit obscure because there was nothing on eBay, hardly, and what there was on there was quite expensive. There was no sort of mat for it, neoprene mat or anything like that. The only place I could really go was the actual Gripping Beast website, which is very peculiar. I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, I'll read you from the back rather than making up what I think it is, because there's very little on YouTube, but I'll read you what it is. There will be something more on YouTube because I'm going to make it. So anyway, it's a exciting miniatures game that recreates the fierce and bloody gladiator combats of ancient Rome. Okay, so it's a arena combat system using what it says are 32mm miniatures. Most of them are slightly bigger. I'd probably say they're more like 40mm. But they are very characterful, but not too oldie worldy, old school, where it might turn some people off. They're really nice to paint. I've enjoyed painting them today, otherwise I wouldn't have put probably 12 hours in of actual painting. To finish the 5 extra that I've had. 6, sorry, because I had one left over. Because in this set that I bought also, this is the familiar set 2. When you buy the box sets, you do get some extra optional parts, which I used to convert the guy who I had with the wolf's head, because the wolf's head was not great. It was quite comical and sticky uppy, looked really odd, and I couldn't be bothered, so I just waited until I got them. But anyhow, I'm going to show you the miniatures in a second, and I'm making you wait. It's a card driven system, there's no dice as such. And reading about the concept behind the game, I like it. They're my kind of game designers, sort of looking at stuff, seeing that the market's saturated with other gladiator combat games, sort of standard type games, and trying to do something different. So that's quite cool. Now, I was gonna try and recreate a little board like this sort of Ludus that you get in Spartacus. Awesome series that is, if you haven't watched it already. So I was going to recreate a little Ludus as a little gaming board. And I have got a giant Colosseum already, what I use for Wasteman, that I'm going to commandeer for later if we get through a campaign. But what I liked, and what I'm going to do first, I like the earlier sort of pit style arena. And the reason I like it is it's going to be easier to store, easier to transport. It looks more rough and ready, and pretty much I could scratch build it. It's like, you know, wood and bits of stuff. So that's quite cool. I haven't got to buy any more buildings because I've already bought a ton for Dead Man's Hand, which is another video that I haven't made yet because I'm still feverishly painting Black Scorpion miniatures and assembling foreground buildings. So there you go, but that's for another day. So anyhow, there is, like I say, a campaign system in there. what I'm unsure about yet, but I'm going to hold judgment until I've played it. You can only do 1 wound maximum per attack, so you could put 3 attacks onto one guy and potentially put 3 wounds on, but you'd only be able to put 1 on. So, you know, it's to make the game last longer and so it pleases the crowd. I don't know, that's an artificial mechanic that's been added in there. And I think that should have probably been taken care of in the rules itself. But, you know, reserve judgment, and you can always house rule things, can't you? But it looks pretty cool. So I got the rule book. I got 2 decks of cards. You need a deck of cards each. In those cards are, I think it's 12 gladiators types. Sort of your heavily armed dudes, guys with, I haven't got him, guy with a whip, I haven't got him, and then there's Thracian, I haven't got him, but he's pretty close to the other guys anyway. The cards that you play up to your hand size, and you can play them to do movement, winning favour with the crowd, combat, trade it in for drawing some more cards, play it as the dice value at the bottom, or change it for 2 more powerful cards, which are these ones here in red. And these seem to go up in dice values from 4 to 6. So these are better cards. You can do more with them. But yeah, you're drawing. It's like a card mechanism, and the stats you've just seen, they're on these cards here. So I'm going to bring you in now anyway, start rambling and get you in close to see what I've been working for 12 hours on. You can see it comes with a paper arena if you want to use that, but I don't. But it's cool that it's in there anyway, just to get you started. So the first one we'll look at is the Provocateur, and there's the wounded side. I'm not going to show you talk through all the stats on all of them, but basically he's got a harassment as a trait. I think if you get attacked by him, he gives you a harassment token. So basically he's got an attack. He's classed as a heavy because he's orange there. His attack against a heavy is +1, against a light is +3. His defense against a heavy is +2, and his defense against a light is +4 there. He moves 4 squares because it's a grid system how they work, and obviously the stats go down when he's injured. And so this is the Provocateur that I've done. I didn't do the winged helmet because those wings just look like they were going to break off. So he's pretty cool. He's fairly strong, wielding that giant shield up in the air. This actually was a different figure that I added these parts to from the spares kit to make this character, because I had 2. This was one of the guys with the wolf heads that I changed. So just normal skin tones, a bit of gold, bit of lead belcher here and there, some leather, and a couple of colours. You'll see I've used a muted palette with all of these. There's basically silvers, golds, skin tones, and white and red, and the only exception is this guy with the blue shield, because I had 3 shields. I didn't want them all to be the same colour, so I've got a white shield, a red shield, and a blue shield. But other than that, there's no extra colours added in, just to keep them all sort of tied together. So next up we've got the Rotarius, who's on the card as a homeless guy with a net. He's probably dredged out the canal, and I've done him as this dark skinned chap here. He's got the net. I kind of like the net actually. He's got a trident. The head was one out of the box as well. And need some touch-ups there. I can see where I rubbed the paint off on there. Been handling them a bit too much before they've dried. I have hit them all with a ultra matte varnish, and then I've satin varnished by hand the skin to make it a bit more vibrant. He's kind of cool. The Secutor. Oops. It's not going to help me paint jobs. Secutor. He's pretty sweet. I like him. Because they're larger scale, you can obviously see they've got some good musculature and a lot of decent texture. Oh, by the way, they're all lead-free pewter, by the way, these figures. Next, we have the Hoplomachus. Is it Hoplomachus? I don't know. He's basically a hoplite. I've got this guy here. I've just kept him with a non-painted metal shield this time for a change. I did a tiny bit of colour in there around the back of the shin guards, and he's got the classic sort of gated eyeball sockets on his helmet. It's pretty cool. Then we have Mr. Mermillo. And kind of disappointed with his stance. He's basically just standing like a stooge, and the shield hides most of the detail work that you paint onto them. I did change his helmet for a sort of heavier one with there's like a big gate on the front of it, but he looks fairly beastie. I was part tempted to do him as a dark skinned chap, but I think I'm going to do the next ones like that to mix it up a little bit. Then we have Sagittarius. He's obviously got a bowman, so he's just ranged attacks. It's got a quiver of arrows there. Just added a little bit of colour to the gold around these knees. Got some nice straps on the back of his legs there, and a bit of chainmail. Now I've actually tried on some chainmail many years ago at an event where they were showing you all this kind of stuff, and it was really heavy but awesome. I haven't told you who this guy is because I'm an idiot. He is a Damocarius. He's probably my favourite gladiator pose. I mean, look at that. He's got the Spartan helmet. He's got two swords because one isn't enough. He's got the come at me bro pose. He's got all kinds of bandages and armour. And he's going to slice and dice. I like him. Then we've got the Scissor Sisters. And I've done this one in more standard silver armour than I have gold, like in the picture. And I changed his weapon to a sort of Thracian style knife, just because I need a change. But yeah, it's quite cool. Very heavily armoured. The only part of skin showing is on the thighs there, so you just basically got to cut his knees off and he'll be alright. And I got the Velez. This was the guy who had, or one of the guys who had the wolf pelt on his head, but I didn't go for that. I went for a dude without a helmet on, and I forgot to clean a little bit of miscast down the middle of his face, a little bit of a line, but I'd already painted him at that point when I realised, so I just turned it into a scar, and just got to touch up some paint on his head there, I can see, and on the leather there where I've been handling it before the varnish is dry. That is for now an intro into Jugula. I'm going to start hopefully tomorrow planning the little board with the little 8x8 grid on it somehow, and the little fighting pit. Hopefully I've got enough materials knocking about to get a good start on it, and if not, I'll think of something else. Anyhow, thanks for watching.